Hey guys, it's May 17th. This morning when I was coming out of sleep, I had a vision and I saw these words. It said speech, resurrect, walk. I don't know if this is from the Lord, but this is how he speaks to me sometimes. He, for whatever reason, chose to give me the gift of dreams and visions, and I will receive words in the spirit. That's just the gift that he gave me. I don't have like the gift of teaching or anything like that. This is just the ministry that he's given me. And sometimes the first time I ever, after I was saved in I was saved on Christmas Eve 2011. I sought him in prayer for almost 2 hours every day for months because I was so on fire for him. And then in March of 2012 was the first time that anything spiritual like this happened to me. I remember it was March 26th, 2012. When I woke up in the morning, I shot out of bed, I sat up, and before my eyes, I can only describe it as in the spirit, in my spiritual eyes. It was kind of like I saw words that were overlaid in front of my vision, and it said, "Be diligent." That was the first thing he ever said to me like that. And at that time, I didn't even know what the word diligent meant. So he just kind of speaks to me in dreams, visions, and he'll give me words. Sometimes I'll hear them in my spiritual ear, and sometimes I'll see them upon waking like this. And this is exactly how I saw it. It just said speech, resurrect, walk. I don't know what it means. And I wasn't going to share it, but when I sat down the first time to record this video, as soon as I hit record, wouldn't you know, my neighbor decided to start mowing his grass right outside the window that was open. And before that, it had been a totally peaceful, quiet day. There was nobody outside. We live kind of on the outskirts, kind of towards the country a little bit. We do have neighbors around us, but we each kind of have maybe an acre. So we're kind of spread apart. We don't usually hear each other very much, but as soon as I hit record, here he comes outside my window. So I knew that was kind of my sign that this means something. And usually when the Lord gives me things like this, it doesn't make sense right away, but eventually it does. So I know that I don't have to scurry to try and hurry and make sense out of it. It will make sense in time. But I wanted to see if maybe somebody had maybe a missing puzzle piece to this. Maybe someone out there has received something similar. I'm not sure what this means, but like I said, I know it'll make sense later on. So, and then I wanted to talk to you guys about what's been going on with me spiritually, and I wanted to see if this was happening to anybody else. So, obviously, as believers, especially being believers in the end times, we're going to experience distractions from the enemy. He's going to throw monkey wrenches into conversations when we're trying to share the gospel with someone or warn them about something or talk about Jesus. And, this happens to me a lot throughout the years. But you guys, lately, it's every single time I open my mouth to say something about this stuff, to warn people, literally every time I can't, it's I'm immediately shut down. It's this suppression of my words. As soon as my mouth opens, it's a crazy off-the-wall distraction will happen. For example, yesterday I wanted to tell my husband about a dream that I had because he does, thank God, he listens to the warnings that the Lord shows me. He doesn't shut me down, but it's whenever I try to tell him something about what the Lord shows me, and I try to warn him about things going on in the news, what it means spiritually, in particular, the mark of the beast, we're almost there. And so he'll listen. I know it makes him uncomfortable, but he respectfully at least doesn't tell me to shut up. So, but I told him I wanted to tell him about this dream that I had. And I was doing dishes. He was on the couch as usual. He'll have the TV on. He'll be watching videos on his phone at the same time. And he's like, I can't hear you. What'd you say? I can't hear you. So, or other times I'll literally start talking and then his work phone will start ringing and it drowns out the sound of my voice. So he never even hears me say, oh, I want to talk to you about something, because it's like some sort of clatter or noise will happen that literally drowns out the sound of my voice, and he can't hear me. So his work phone starts to ring, his boss will call him, a coworker, and then his brother will call him, and then his mom, and then the dogs will start barking, and then something happens outside. It's just like always something. Anytime I open my mouth to warn about something end times related, there's some sort of something in the environment that shuts me down. And it's frustrating because, like I said, obviously this is going to happen to us over time. But I feel like for me, it's every time. And then with my family, I've been trying to warn my family and my friends and my neighbors and just kind of sow seeds and just kind of make them aware of things, but they ignore me, or they'll give me the look. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this look where they look at you like you have 10 heads, or they look at you like you're crazy, or they'll tell you you're crazy. It's just, I feel like my words just aren't reaching people's ears, or if it does, it's not being received or accepted. And it's funny because I know some people who are Christians who have been saved and going to church for 50, 60 years. And they're still baby Christians. And I understand that we're not all going to be in the same place spiritually at the same time. There are people who are saved and will be in heaven who will be baby Christians their entire life. And this is what I'm talking about. I know people in my life who have been in church for 50, 60 years, and they are no more spiritually matured than the day they got saved. And it's so frustrating because there's just nobody around me in my life that is wanting to grow and mature in the Lord. Nobody. Even these people who I know that are, 60 years old, they go to church, when church was open, they'll go every week and they'll post something about God on Facebook. But it's like you talk about the meat of the word, the deeper things. You try to say, hey, I can't believe we're living in the end times. It's kind of like, what? We are? No, we're not. And they're kind of like, for example, one person I know, a relative of mine, she was probably one of the first Christians I ever knew. She has no fruits of the spirits. She's living a very, very sinful lifestyle, and that's as far as I'll go with that, because I don't like to judge where other people are. That's between her and the Lord. But, you have to judge people by their fruits. So I'll just leave it at that. But she's like, I just booked a vacation in August for Mexico and this and this and this. And I'm like, how do these people who say I'm a Christian, and how do they not see the times that we're in? I'm talking about people who grew up in church. People who should be aware of the signs of the last days. I know someone who grew up in church. I'm not going to say their name or who they are or anything, but they grew up in church going sometimes twice a week for 18 years. And they know nothing about the Bible. How does that happen? And I do not put the blame on them for that. I blame the pastors for that mostly. I mean, obviously, I guess I shouldn't say that because we all have our own personal responsibility for that. But I do, for the most part, that's got to be on the pastors, because, if you're growing up in church for 18 years, sometimes twice a week, why don't they know things of the Bible? Why don't they know the signs of the end times? They don't talk about sin anymore. They don't talk about the book of Revelation and the signs of the times and the mark of the beast. I have had my taste of churches. In these past 8 years, I have been kind of like a church hopper, trying to find my place. But it's just like nobody gets it. Sorry about that. Sorry, guys. I dropped you. But anyway, it's just very frustrating because nobody seems to be aware of the times that we're in. I mean, you guys are, obviously, and I thank God for this platform on here to fellowship with people who get it and people who are very spiritually awake and watching for Jesus. But these Christian people that I know in real life, they're not watching, they're not waiting, they have no idea. And in fact, they're planning their vacations for a month or two away. And it's like, at this point, I'm like, I just can't say it anymore. I've told them 1,000 times, these are the last days. Jesus is coming. Things aren't going to go back to normal. The mark of the beast is coming. They're not receiving it. They're still blind to it. They don't want to hear that their lives are threatened, that things aren't going. They're in love with the world. They're conformed to the world, and they're ignorant of the things of God and the times that we're in because they don't seek Him daily. They don't try to grow and mature, and they don't study the Bible. And it's crazy to me that two Christians, I can be talking to one of these people and say, wow, they're pushing this vaccine so hard, and this HR 666, however many six are in it, and wow, this is the mark of the beast that's talked about in the Bible. And you just get reactions of like, what are you talking about? No, it's not. It's just so frustrating to me. It disgusts me of how asleep the church is. And people will say things to me like, well, why would God show you something and you're only 30 something years old? And I've been a Christian for 50 years, and I don't have dreams or visions, and He doesn't show me that it's time for the rapture. And I'm like, well, that's on you. You can't expect to hear from the Lord when you're not seeking Him every day, and you have all these distractions of the world between you and Him. And I don't do that. I've completely given up the ways of the world and all the distractions. There's just nothing in this world for me. So I just try to use my time wisely here and wake these people up, but it's just not being received. And my words are being shut down and blocked out and muffled. And like I said, it's as soon as I take a breath or open my mouth to say it, there's some sort of, like with the phones ringing, it drowns out the sound of my voice to where my husband doesn't even hear me that I'm trying to speak to him. Sorry, you guys, my phone keeps falling over. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. Are you guys experiencing that as well? Because normally that does happen, but not like this. And I just feel so useless because I'm trying. It's just, I'm just so blocked off. I feel like it's because we're so far, we're so close, we're right there, that it's just, people are so extremely blinded. It's heartbreaking to me because I know Christians who have no idea what time it is. They've slipped back into the ways of the world. I know a Christian who thinks it's okay to sleep with her boyfriend from the internet. And I warned her about that in love. And she said I was a bad friend. And I'm just like, this is what Christianity is. People are so comfortable in sin. I'll stop there just for the sake of time. This video might not even upload, but let me know if you guys have any understanding on this whole speech resurrect walk. If He gives me any understanding of it, I'll be back to share it with you guys. So, all right, bye.